We got Juan Adams back here on the program. He's going to be taking on Arjan Bhullar at UFC Ottawa on May 4th. Juan, what's up, man? How are you?
I'm doing good, man. Just in the heat of camp. Got about 24 pounds left to lose, so should be a good one.
Yeah, it's going to be a great fight, and we'll talk about that in a second. But first, I got to mention to my audience here, we're actually at one of your favorite spots. I know you like to frequent, some establishments in Houston. Where are we right now for those who might be in the area and looking for a good spot?
Boomtown Coffee, actually, in the Heights. It's a really good spot. Right on, there's a collection of shops. There's actually a toy shop right across the street. I bought a Fartzuka from there earlier.
Nice.
I got Curtis Blade's daughter. I bought her a couple things from over there, sent them to him after his fight. So it's a nice little shop. Got everything I need. Walgreens and CVS are like a block down. So.
Okay. Now, in terms of drinking coffee, are you like an espresso guy? Are you a guy that, likes doing the fancy orders? Or do you keep it simple? Do you do like a cold coffee or just a regular coffee? What's your typical order?
So I'm really in the third wave coffee, and it really depends on what part of camp I'm in. So I go to a lot of coffee shops, and I always try their specialty brew. I always go with the espresso also just to see, their brewing style, the acidity, and all that in it, and, if it's the right drinking temperature. Personally, I really like latte and latte arts, so that's my go-to. And if I'm not in the mood for that, I'll go with a single origin drip. So I usually, if it's my first time at a place, I go with the espresso. Then I'll order their single origin drip, and I'll also order their house blend. And if they don't have a house blend or if they don't have single origin, then I go with one of their specialty lattes.
I like this. You're like a connoisseur here. I think that's very cool. A side that we're not used to seeing here on the program. So that's good. Nice to hear that. Let's talk about this fight. I know you've had a difficult time getting an opponent. It seems like I follow you on Twitter, and I know you've been putting out a lot of offers there to fight guys. Did you expect it to be this difficult in the UFC to get a fight?
Honestly, no, I didn't. I said from the jump, I want to fight every 3 months, and I get that I don't have quite as many fights as some of the other guys on the roster, but I've also said, I'm not afraid to fight anyone. They sent me this fight offer. I signed it, and I have an app on my phone that allows me to sign, send my signature, and go. So within 10, 15 minutes, the fight was accepted on my part. And like I said before, I want to fight everyone at some point, but right now I really want to fight all the other recently signed guys. I want to establish myself as the top of the new class of heavyweights and go from there.
I'm just going to throw out a couple names because, I keep track of what you put on social media. It looked like you were going to fight Moe Green. What happened there? He ended up fighting Jeff Hughes. How come that fight fell apart?
Both of us asked for the fight, and it was one of those things where we both want to be active, and the UFC wasn't booking fights for us. They saw that he had said all that, and they offered him Jeff Hughes. I never got offered that fight, so but it is what it is. I'm happy for him. I'm happy he got to avenge that loss, and me and Mo are like through that we've kind of built a more like civil relationship with each other. So I wish nothing but the best for him. He actually wants me to win this fight, so if he doesn't have anything scheduled, maybe we can fight again late July, early August. So that's where I'm at. I'm not looking too far ahead. I have to see how this fight goes, and we'll go from there.
What about Greg Hardy? I know that's another name you threw out there, and now he's fighting this Russian guy. Were there any talks at all about that happening, or did you just put that out there and it went into the dust?
It's funny, man. Like when Greg Hardy first got started, they were talking about making him go pro. I was under contract with LFA. I wanted to fight then. They said no. When I found out he was going to be on Contender Series, I said, I'll fight him on Contender Series. They said no. Then afterwards, after his Contender Series fight, or when they were going to put him on Dana White's Looking for a Fight, they threw my name in there, and whether it was Dana White and the UFC or it was, Greg Hardy's people, they said no. He doesn't want to fight me. They don't want him to fight me. His managers don't want him to fight me. I don't think he wants to fight me. I don't care. I've stated before, I want to fight him, and it's not even a fact that, aside from the fact that I just don't like him as a human being, it's ridiculous that they're booking him in these premier fight time slots. You know, he was a co-main event. Now I think he's going to be the featured bout on the main card. He's 0-1 in the UFC. They signed a guy that's 0-2 in the UFC, got released, and then they brought him back. And these two guys who are both winless in the UFC are on the main card, whereas you have myself, undefeated 5-0, and Arjan Bhullar, who's 8-1, and we're fighting on the prelim card. I just think that's ridiculous. And so if that's the only way I can get on the main card is by fighting Greg Hardy, like, I'll do whatever it takes. Like I said, you know, I've asked Reebok to make me a pink fight kit. Maybe they can, you know, let me walk out in a women's fight kit and make him feel, you know, more emboldened to fight me if I dress like a chick. I don't know.
Okay, good stuff, man. You're fighting in Canada. I was going to ask, is this your first time ever going to Canada?
It actually is. It's my first time fighting. It's actually only my second time leaving the country, or third time. I've been to Mexico once, and I went to Jamaica once for a friend's wedding. So it'll be my first time out of, like, real experience out of the country, first time fighting out of the country. But, you know, I've gotten a lot of Canadian UFC fans have reached out to me and want to connect after the fight, and they've been super polite, so I'm really excited for it.
Yeah, and it's actually the nation's capital. You know, a lot of people think it's Toronto, but it's actually Ottawa. So you're going to be going to, you know, one of the hubs of Canada, which is interesting. Let's talk about who you're fighting, though. Arjan Bhullar, a Canadian guy himself. How do you feel like you match up against him here?
I mean, I feel like I'm better everywhere than he is. He's got a bigger record than me, but, you know, he's 6'1", 240, with a 75.5-inch reach. You know, I'm 6'5". I'll be walking in the cage at 283 to 285, and my reach is 81. So I feel, from a physical standpoint, I completely outmatch him.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that, you know, just having, because you're probably going to have that with a lot of your opponents, you know, being the bigger guys. So I guess that is kind of a nice feather in your cap when you're fighting these guys.
Yeah. You know, it allows me to go in there with a lot of confidence, because even if they do have a better technical ability in one aspect, size does matter when it comes to this, unless you're really bad. But when you're two people of a similar skill set, size matters, and I've got that in spades.
What about training camp? How have you structured things for this fight?
You know, same as always. I've been, you know, working a lot of stand-up. You know, we've been focusing a lot more on strength and conditioning this time around. We've changed a few things in the striking aspect, and I've been working a lot on my ground game as usual. We're bringing in some really higher-level guys this last month to really, you know, take things to the next level. But I feel great and much better than I have before. You know, it's one of the first fight camps I've been through where I haven't had any type of injury or illness. You know, I got the flu halfway through my last fight camp. This time it's been smooth sailing.
I don't know if you can reveal or not, but who are you training with? You mentioned you brought some guys in. Anyone we'd recognize?
Yeah, you might write him. We're bringing in Josh Marsh.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I know him.
Similar size to my opponent. I think they're the same wrestling ability level. Josh wrestled NAIA. This guy wrestled NAIA. You know, so and they're similar size. Josh likes to grapple a lot. This guy likes to box a little bit more than Josh does. But like I said, when it comes to boxing, 81-inch reach versus the 75.5.
What about the cut? You talked a bit about it there. Everything going according to plan, because it's weird to, you know, talk about this as a heavyweight, but you do cut a lot of weight.
Yeah, so this time we started camp a little lower than normal. I started around 293, 295. Normally I'm about 305 to 310 when we start a fight camp. So it's going a little bit smoother. Right now I'm waking up in the 288 and some change range. Our goal is to be waking up at 282 by April 13th. And from there, you know, we do our water cut, which is about 17 pounds, and that's the last week of the camp. So we're looking forward to it.
Who's going to be in your corner for this fight?
Same people as always. I'm going to have Jeremy Laughlin as the main guy, my striking coach, David Kelly, and then my strength and conditioning coach and all-around athletics coach, Ryan Casey Baker. It's actually his birthday. It's May 3rd, so do a little something special for him out there.
How do you see this fight playing out against you and Arjan Bhullar? I believe he's never been knocked out, so that's something I know you're quite good at with the striking.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna TKO him in the second round. I think first round he's gonna be trying to feel me out and establish, try and get a good gauge of the range and everything. But like I said, he's never fought anyone that keeps up the pace that I do. He himself doesn't have the same pace as me. I looked at the stats. In his last three fights, he's absorbed 88 significant strikes. You know, by the second round of my last fight, I had given out over 100 head strikes alone. So I'm not super concerned in that aspect. I don't think he can hang with me on the feet.
You kind of talked about it there as far as what's next after this fight, not looking past May 4th, but it seems like you want to fight Moe Green at some point, and I'm hearing from the sounds of it, maybe August, sometime in the fall. Is that what you're looking at?
I don't think that's going to happen, namely because UFC made me wait 5 months for this fight. So I see myself maybe fighting again in September or October. I want to fight 3 times this year. I just don't think it's going to happen, really. I don't think it will be against Mo. Granted, we would both be 2-0 after this fight, knock on wood, obviously. But he, I think he's going to take whatever fight comes his way. I don't think he's going to hold out for a fight against me. And like I said, I'm not going to hold out for a fight against him. If we're both available, yeah, let's make it happen. But I'm not holding my breath on it.
Another name I wanted to throw your way. You talked about Curtis Blades there, and Curtis just fought Justin Willis, and things got pretty personal. I mean, Willis, did a bunch of different things that, Curtis is a nice guy. You know how he is. It was kind of out of character to see, someone attack him that way. Justin Willis, is that an opponent down the line that you'd like to fight? Not next, but, down the line, just because you are friends with Curtis?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Justin Willis isn't talented, and I feel bad because I only refer to him as titties. So he's not a good fighter. He was kind of eyeing me at my debut. I mean, it's hard not to look at me when I walk into a room, but he just kind of creeped me out a little bit. I think he's not all mentally there. So I think it would be an easy fight for me. Curtis dismantled him. I think he let in 9 strikes that fight. I could easily stand and bang with him. He doesn't have knockout power. So, and he's short. He's small. He's undersized. I just don't think he can really has an answer for me anywhere. So, and I don't think he's the caliber athlete that I am either.
We're looking forward to this fight, man. UFC Ottawa, May 4th. Juan, always appreciate the time, man. Just remind people where they can find you on social media, and if you have any sponsors or shout-outs, the floor is yours, man.
Awesome. I appreciate the time always, and I always make time for you. You can find me on social media. On Instagram, it's Chosen Juan 285, Juan not one. Twitter's the same thing, and on Facebook, it's Juan the Kraken Adams. My sponsors, I'd like to give a big shout out to Rhino Pro Truck Bed Liners. They're actually working on the line of apparel for me right now, so I'm looking forward to that. When that drops, I'll have a link on my profile. And FlemingAttorneys.com. They've been one of my sponsors since my LFA days, so I appreciate them. And TheCheapMeal.com, he's been handling all my strength and conditioning and meal prep and nutrition needs forever now. So I wouldn't be able to fight without him. He's just kind of one of those guys, the jack of all trades. He's got MMA experience, jiu-jitsu, striking, everything. So anytime I need to do something, I can hit him up if none of my other coaches are available. So he's really the backbone of the team right there.